Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Spumelele Zondo with your technology and social media news. It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. We hope you still are staying indoors and keeping safe and leaving the house only if you really have to. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you if you remember all your passwords. This, as Kaspersky says their survey finds that less than 70% of people remember all their passwords. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Firstly, here's what's coming up tonight. We have information on whether you really can just create your own ventilator and then have it in hospitals, and then it can just be used just like that as we are dealing with COVID-19. As gym is closed, we are looking at technologies that can help you track your progress if you are training by yourself. And our discussion is looking at digital skills training for the African continent. Here on Network previously, we've told you about local inventors who have created their own low-cost ventilators. But can anyone just create a ventilator and have it used in hospitals?
The demand for medical ventilators has been on an increase since COVID-19 was declared a pandemic in March. This has seen universities and manufacturers alike racing to solve the ventilator shortage problem that South African hospitals is facing.
Our market is effectively low-resource hospitals, like in Garankuwa, Soshanguve. So these are the markets we've effectively looked at since, a ventilator costs something north of 600,000 rands. So, looking at how much these ambu bags cost, and then automating this bag will cost will get the cost around 5,000 rands.
3D printers allows us to act quickly to this demand. It's rapid prototyping, so it's not mass manufacturing, but with 3D printers we have the ability to react to this call. And I think we need to give our healthcare workers all the help they can get. So there is a shortage of masks and visors or personal protection equipment in the country. So we thought, we'd give them a fighting chance as well by providing this.
Though great solutions brought on by engineers and hobbyists alike, we asked robotics developer Carl Spice if these 3D printed ventilators can be distributed for immediate use in hospitals.
These ventilators that we produce shouldn't be used then more than a day. There's no medical testing there. So ideally these ventilators are to take a patient from their home to the hospital, and then possibly in a hospital where someone really needs to breathe to survive, we put them on these emergency ventilators. The truth, of course, not longer than a day to keep running, because, as I said, there are quite a lot of variables that go into helping helping patients breathe. So that's what we're challenged with at the moment.
In a time where countries are scrambling with sourcing much-needed ventilators, some people could be led to believe that the market is open to just anyone who can produce the respiratory machines. However, there are regulations put in place.
The Americans, there's a magazine called Make in America, and they've called our efforts Plan C. So Plan A would be the government jumps in and says, right, we're taking over factories in the country because this is vital, and we're going to repurpose them to make ventilators. So that's Plan A. Plan B obviously is corporate entities, big organizations jumping in and saying, yeah, we're going to help out, we're going to start repurposing our companies to do this. You can see it's quite cool in America that Tesla, the folks who make electric cars, they've actually tried to repurpose a huge part of their company to make these ventilators. And it was surprising to see that a company like Tesla, who have some of the brightest minds in the world, are struggling to make this thing. So it's quite hectic. Plan C obviously is then for hobbyists, smaller communities, academic bodies to jump together to try and produce these. So we really are in the entire spread of things. We already are Plan C.
Gym is unlikely going to open anytime soon, and we've been asked to train by ourselves at home or jog by ourselves on the road. Tech plays a critical role in how we track ourselves in this. If you're a health or fitness fanatic who has been running away from using the latest technologies to assist you when training, this is probably getting difficult. These days, you need tools to track your progress when you're working out. Fitness trainer and men's health cover guy Ngobe Kunene says his Huawei watch and Samsung app help a lot with this.
I normally use my Samsung Health on the cell phone. If I'm not carrying my phone at that time, then I use my watch, Huawei watch, which obviously gives me the calories that I burn, it gives me the distance that I run, my average pace, and obviously my targets that I'm going to be completing at that workout. Basically tracking my distance, tracking my average speed that I do at a certain distance. It also tells me how many calories I burn. It tells me how far I'm actually going to go, and it tells me at what time I'm going to finish my race if I'm doing long distance.
He's turned to online spaces to train people as South Africa is still on lockdown, with gym closed and group sessions not allowed. Fellow fitness trainer Ayanda Mthembu is big on bodyweight training. He says his intense workouts also need to be tracked.
I use Apple Watch Series 2, and also there's an app that I use on my cell phone. It's called Nike Running App. Technology assists a lot when you're working out, because obviously you want to see how many, for instance, calories that you want to burn or you burn a day, as much as you consume a day. If I run the same route 5 times a week, obviously I have to work against what I ran the previous day. I have to do better in a way. So that keeps me accountable, and I'm able to track my times whenever I'm at home, sitting down like, okay, what is it that I need to change? Like my pace, whatever the case may be, but it keeps the record and the track of that I can get to use later on.
One Life Insurance says they've developed a tool that rewards people who take care of their health. They say their tool also tracks your sleep.
One Life Pulse is a revolutionary new product from One Life. What makes it different is that South Africans can grow their cover by 216 Rand a day just by doing a few simple lifestyle changes. For example, like taking the dog for a walk or sleeping a little better. We believe this is the future of life insurance. You don't have to be a super athlete or a gym bunny to grow your life cover and get points. All you have to do with One Life Pulse is just sleep a little better, go for a walk with your dog, or even a Zoom exercise class, and this will improve your health and your immune system, which is critical at this time.
This could probably be compared to Discovery's Vitality, which Opa Matlakala loves. He mostly runs on the road nowadays, but under normal circumstances is a gym spinning instructor.
My fitness tracker measures many different parameters, from footsteps to heartbeats to the workout you did and the intensity of your workout. My tracker is then linked to my Discovery Vitality, and from that I earn points depending on the length of time versus the intensity of the workout. Then at the end of the week, if you reach a certain goal, you have an opportunity to play a board where you win a certain amount of points once again, which you can then use for discounts with flights, to buy sneakers.
So if you're going out for your daily workouts, don't forget your tech tool so you can track your progress. Sometimes one comes across pornography on social media and other content that is not for children. Facebook launched Facebook for Kids, which gives parents control of the content that their children see. There's also now Messenger for Kids. We are looking at safety of children on social media.
Children and young people like to go on to the internet and connect with existing friends and to make new ones. They like to browse the web to find information, live chat with each other, and play online games. While there are benefits to this kind of connectedness, some parents say children can come across material that isn't meant for them. Despite these concerns, this week Facebook launched Messenger Kids application, which aimed at kids under the age of 13.
I think for a long time we've heard from parents and from organizations working with children and in the space that, getting children to think about tech and how they might use tech. We've heard for a long time that it'd be great to have an app that was made bespoke for children and gave parents oversight over how children are interacting online. And I think what we've done with Messenger Kid is design an app specifically for that.
Some have questioned Facebook's true intentions for opening the service up to young users.
How is that data used for Facebook? Because Facebook, as it stands, uses our data to market to us for ads and those kind of things. So what are they going to do with the data used that they've captured from these kids?
While some parents may have fears, others called Messenger Kids a useful tool that makes parents the gatekeepers.
Just looking at the current situation that we are faced with, and kids, being at home, it means that they haven't been able to communicate with their friends and distant family members. So this, allows them to communicate with their friends because it's quite lonely.
I'm not against it at all, because if I'm going to be against it, it's another element that kids that are using these days, because we are living in this it's under this condition of pandemic, COVID-19. Yeah? There you are using the media, the social media these days in order for them to network and to communicate. How are they going to communicate if we are stopping them?
Facebook said it developed the app after speaking with thousands of parents and social media experts.
We've held roundtables globally and in Africa since probably about 2018. And what that's done is bring these groups together. And you yesterday you saw some of the quotations from my colleague Sylvia, who's our safety expert, brought these, and safety is at the heart of all of this, safety and privacy at the heart of all of this as well. And we brought them together. So there's been, obviously we've done some desk-based work with them and spoken to these parents and done group consultations online.
Social media experts say they are worried about cyberbullying.
A victim that's being cyberbullied or harassed can approach the court for an interim protection order if the court is satisfied that that person is being harassed. For children, it's especially a great law because they can even approach the court without a parent or guardian.
The app allows children to send photos, videos, and they can make video calls.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we look at digital skills development across the African continent.
Employers who are unable to pay the full salaries of their workers during the lockdown can apply for the COVID-19 Temporary Employee Relief Scheme.
We put aside 40 billion rand there to help workers who have either been retrenched or have been put on unpaid leave.
Some employees complaining that either their companies haven't paid monies over to UIF or companies not getting back to them.
Anyone who has an employer-employee relationship, the company is supposed to apply on your behalf. And is any company that is affected by lockdown?
Which has been done by our company since the beginning of April, even during the period when we were closed down. When the UIF money came back, it didn't come back complete, not for everyone.
We've been able to increase our capacity technically and even in the number of the processors. We identify the needs for more.
COVID-19 has resulted in a massive digital disruption for us. But what kind of technologies are going to stay, and what will the world look like after COVID-19? Some say tech will play a huge role in that. During his State of the Nation address, President Cyril Ramaphosa said South African public schools will start introducing coding from primary school. This is to answer to the coding skills shortage in the country. Some had already started with some training for school kids, like at the Durban University of Technology's IT department.
From where I came from, I've never had that support from teachers and stuff. And I found like this was like the best way for me as an individual to help our community and stuff like that, and educate our kids of the younger generations to be better and to like do better for themselves as well.
Geek Culture travels around the country as they teach kids how to channel their problem-solving thinking in the direction of creating tech solutions. In December, they were in Howick in the KwaZulu-Natal Midlands.
It's where primary and high school students come, spend the holidays with the geeks. They get to learn how to start their own business through tech. So they start building their own solutions, like building websites, mobile application, electronics, and also graphic design.
Digify gives digital marketing skills to unemployed youth.
Our programs are more focused on basically front-end digital marketing, which is essentially social media marketing. We speak on strategy, creator strategy, digital strategy. We go into content creation, various forms, which is basically photography, videography, and also copywriting. We then go into web development, paid advertising, analytics, which is very important because it informs a lot of strategy. And we go into content management systems and UX, which is a little bit more complex.
But there's always a need in Africa, as many are unemployed and as the continent has a severe shortage of these tech and digital skills. Producer Sandile Hlangani has a conversation about one digital skills initiative that's planning to go continental.
Thank you so much, Alfie, for joining us today.
Sure, it's certainly my pleasure, Sandile.
Can you quickly, briefly tell us about the role of the ICT in the 21st century, especially in relation to teacher education?
So, if you look at teacher education and ICT, at the moment, if you look at COVID-19, right, unfortunately, our schools are closed, the universities are closed, our children are sitting at home, and our teachers are out of the school. The only way in which they can communicate with the children or the students is by using technology, by using ICTs. And be that if it is via your telephone, via WhatsApp, whether it is using Cisco WebEx, whether it is using Skype or television, it is the use of technology. So technology itself in this 21st century and in the center of COVID-19 is critical to ensure that learning continues.
How do we then make sure that the very same skills are used and the same model that you're talking about is used to improve our education in remote areas?
Whether you're sitting in a rural village, in the Thousand Hills, or you're sitting in the center of New York City, you're getting exactly the same quality of content being delivered to you. The instructor that is delivering that has to go past a prerequisite of instructor training. And only once they pass that, then only can they go ahead and deliver this content.
In my research, I came across a study done by Joburg Center for Software Engineering that suggests that there's a shortage of these skills inside the country, and they are having a bad impact not only on education but in business as well. Why do we have this kind of shortage?
Unfortunately, it's because of, if we look at our curriculum that we currently have, right? If we look at the school curriculum, right? Starting there. I go back, I know that, I was in education before coming into the private sector. And I look at the e-education white paper of 1996 here, that we put together. That's an amazing paper, right? But that is something, unfortunately, we didn't go through with implementing that. So if we come back and if we look at what is currently at schools, there isn't any compulsory ICT skills, period. It's not there. We are assuming that, and this is a model that we used previously, we took it from outcomes-based education, where we said that, no, that ICT skills is something that will be taught by the way. When you just teach them geography, you're teaching them history, the child will learn how to use it. But unfortunately, that's not how it is done. If you look at every ICT professional, that ICT professional went and studied ICTs. So if we want to have that ICT skills, the adoption to be higher, we need to ensure that that very basic ICT skills starts off from primary school and goes all the way into high school.
Does gender have a role in ICT in general?
I think if we want to move ahead as a global community, it's critical that we have that balance when it comes to gender. If we look at whatever is being developed today, is being developed by men. by men using their minds, thinking about what we need as men in our society. It is not being done by our female counterparts. It is not being done by our girl children, right? Which means we are missing out on the needs of more than 50% of the world. And the only way we're going to address that market is by ensuring that the majority of our female children adopt ICTs and we have this gender balance. In that way, they start innovating and bringing about solutions that addresses the needs of the females in our community. So it's critical to move ahead. We have to bring them on board.
So as Cisco, you are currently running an ICT training skills. Who are you targeting in this program, and what is the criteria?
So if we look at what happened in March, so when we had this lockdown throughout the continent, and children were taken out of school, lecturers were sitting at home. When we looked at it, and myself, my team at Cisco, we looked at it, we said that we got to ensure that Africa moves ahead as well, that Africa is not left behind. So how do we do that? We have our courseware in the Cisco Networking Academy program, and this courses range from basic computer literacy, intro to IoT, intro to cybersecurity, Python programming, and basics of networking, right? What we've done is we took the courses and we worked together with governments across the continent. And we made those courses freely available to every single child that has access to technology.
So as we closed, I would like to ask you to answer two questions, which is, the first question is, how do they go about if they are interested in applying for this program? And lastly, what kind of support will Cisco give these people or these students after completion or after they're done with training?
So, Sandile, if we look, we had contacted all education institutions on the continent and we gave them the URL for registering for this courseware. So that communication would go from the education institutions to the students and the staff. The other way of doing it is where we put out media notices, right? It was in the media and people got to know about that. That is how the second round they will come to know about it. Regarding how we're going to support those children who are students who go through the program, once they pass it, remember the certification is an international certificate, right? So every single student will get a certificate from Cisco to say that they have completed this courseware online.
Alfie, thank you so much for making time to join us.
Sure, it's my pleasure, Sandile. Take care and be safe.
Thank you. That was Alfie from Cisco. We're taking a short break.
In our own backyards, at least 12 people are reported to have died at the hands of the police and army troops. We are deeply concerned that the plight of our sisters and brothers is going unnoticed.
We'll do everything to comply with what the court had directed us to do, to make sure that the police and the soldiers comply with the Bill of Rights of the people of South Africa.
We have never called the police to be brutal and get outside the law, but at the same time, we shall not call the police to be sacrificial lambs.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za and email. Welcome back. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the technology space.
Comic book and gaming enthusiasts will be disappointed to know that there will be no Comic-Con Africa held in Johannesburg this September. This is of course due to the banning of large gatherings because of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, fans will also be thrilled to know that the con must go on, but this year's show will be delivered with a twist.
What we've said is that the con must go online. So we're bringing a whole virtual event for exactly the same dates, 24th to the 27th of September. and we've got 4 days of really exciting content that you would expect to see at a live event.
Organizers also announced that they have prepared a plan to roll over existing tickets to 2021 with the price freeze or to refund any ticket holders who request it. And now in Israel, the country's NSO group showcased a new anti-drone defense, giving the public a rare look at its technology as it seeks to counter allegations that another of its products has aided privacy breaches and political surveillance. The new system, Eclipse, hijacks intruding drones.
We'll see the exact route or the flying area of the drone getting closer and closer towards the stadium. Once the drone will get into the no-flight zone that was defined in the system will start working on taking the communication stream of that specific drone and land it in a safe area. That process of taking the communication stream instead of the original operator and landing it in the safe area might take a few seconds.
They also sought to highlight a heightened transparency drive, saying that NSO has declined deals worth around $500 million on ethical grounds and, as of next year, will issue annual compliance reports. And now in the UK, Chinese telecoms giant Huawei says it remains as committed as ever to providing British network operators with the best available equipment to allow UK citizens to enjoy the full benefits of 5G services. As the company's UK communications director dismissed reports that Huawei's role in Britain was under threat.
To remind people and remind Britain of our commitment to the UK, that we wanted to state very clearly Huawei's commitment to the UK, building a better connected UK, working with our customers, the telecoms operators in the UK, to make sure people have good connectivity, be that fixed or fibre connectivity or mobile connectivity, either 3G, 4G, or of course now 5G.
Meanwhile, a senior official for British telecoms firm Vodafone has warned that the UK's hopes of leading the world in 5G technology would be dealt a terminal blow if the government removes Huawei from the country's telecoms infrastructure, a report in the Financial Times said on Wednesday.
The defending digital privacy reports by Kaspersky found that only 63% of South Africans remember all their passwords. As a result of that, our Twitter poll this week is asking you if you remember all your passwords. Only 46% of respondents say yes, they remember all their passwords. We also have a further 36% of you who say no, you do not. And 18% of you say you remember your passwords only after a few attempts. And that's it. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. From me, Siphumelele Zondi, and the rest of the team, stay home and stay safe.
Insofar as it makes it impossible for candidates